Hello, hello, and welcome to Odd Pairing. I'm Natasha.
And I'm Paige. Before we get started with today's show, we'd like to share with you all what makes our show unique and why you should keep listening.
Let's go ahead and start with the name Odd Pairing. Well, that's because some would consider us an odd pair. I mean,
True.
Obviously,
Yes.
we got this different dynamic going on. If any of you guys out there who can't see, we're an odd pair. We're two people who are very different from each other that found a special connection sharing food and drinks. The conversation that came from sharing a table with each other inspired us to bring those conversations to you guys.
Absolutely. And beyond our own different perspectives and experiences, we're going to explore history, tips, food pairings, and even get into the effects and impacts of alcohol on culture and society. We're also going to have guests join us, winemakers, brewers, restaurateurs, academics, and I guess, well, anyone we find interesting.
Pretty much.
So grab your glass, fill it up, and get ready to hang out with us.
Or if you're on the go, because let's be honest, most people listen to the podcast on the go, in your car, walking, whatever. Think about what glass will be filled when you get home, because we hope that you do. All right, let's dive in and start with what's in our glass. Paige, what do you have over there?
Well, the can says mango mule. So we've got a little mango, vodka, and a tinge of ginger, which is great heading into summer. Pretty refreshing.
Yeah, so that feels summery to you?
Yeah.
And it looks like you have another glass awaiting.
It just got poured.
It's a magic trick.
I like it. I like when drinks just, arrive in front.
Well, I'm drinking a mango margarita, which is from Cutwater. Local San Diegans made this drink for us, and it is delicious and very summery when you think about like a margarita. I think, matter of fact, margaritas can be enjoyed any time of the year.
Agreed.
Not just for this upcoming holiday, but any time of the year they can be enjoyed. And plus my personal favorite, rosé from Speckle Rock. Let me take a sip. And it's just as delicious as the bottle looks. They're actually award-winning here, and they are located in Escondido, California. And they just won an award a couple of months ago for this fabulous bottle of rosé. So for all you San Diegans out there, please grab a bottle from them.
Zeke, what do you have?
You know what I'm drinking right now is I'm drinking Espinosa's Tinto. Their Tinto is really good, and it's really good with barbecue, which I think we might talk a little bit about today, but it's a good deep red, and it is just absolutely amazing. Roberto Espinosa, the winemaker out there, actually, for one, he mentors a lot of the winemakers in the area, but he's awesome. He's really awesome, and this wine is good. And I'm drinking out of a San Diego Padres decanter.
Go
Okay,
Pods.
go Pods. Let's go.
Getting nice.
Shout out
Got
to
it all
all the locals.
aerated
Yeah,
so we
yeah.
can have a taste of that later too.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, I'm tasting everything at the table. I'm just letting you know that right now. Yes. I'm not driving, guys, so don't
I'm
worry.
happy to be here, though, guys. Really
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate you having me here. And I'm not one of those. You mentioned all of the people that you are inviting on to the show.
Yeah.
I think the one I'm excluding myself from is the academics.
We also just said people that we find interesting.
Just people. Yeah, I'm part of that category.
That we find interesting. Yeah. So we're gonna talk to Zeke a little bit later, guys, about some food he made for us going into this holiday season.
I'm excited about a holiday coming up, and that is the 4th of July. It's almost here.
Yeah.
So a lot of times that definitely starts making people's mouths salivate because they start thinking of burgers and dogs and ribs and chips and watermelon and
it's
it's
chips
just
for
like
me.
an American holiday for food and party. So a lot of times there's also a consumption of light lagers that takes place.
You can ditch the lager for me. Something about that darkness of it I just can't stomach. But I am definitely going to always go for a good rosé with you guys. Will later find out that this is probably one of my favorites. But most of all, let's get into, since you mentioned food, let's talk about those ribs that Zeke decided to bring today to bless us with. And guys, let me tell you something. If this man ever cooks for you, do not eat it. It's poisonous, and I will come over and finish it off. So don't worry about
Iron stomach.
Don't worry, I got you. I'm going to save you from whatever it is that you have going on in your life. Don't worry about it.
Somebody's got to eat it.
Somebody's got to eat it. And I don't want you to die. That's the way I feel about it. So Zeke, please tell us about those delicious ribs that you brought in today.
Those were some St. Louis spare ribs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, pork spare ribs. Now, the funny thing about it is I don't eat pork, right?
Which is wild.
Yeah, I don't even eat pork. But my great-grandfather taught me how to barbecue just in general. He taught me on pork spare ribs. And so I just know how to do it just innately. That it's just part of my technique, right? So, but yeah, I smoke them, and I usually use oak. This time I used oak and mesquite. And maybe a little bit of cherry, which gives it that little color. And,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I also use his sauce. So he uses a cooking sauce where he kind of just puts it on it as he's cooking, right? And
So it's not dry rubbed.
So there's a dry rub, but okay. So after
Get into it.
Yeah.
Do you want me to get into it?
Yeah, get into it.
I don't want to, okay. So after maybe about an hour and a half, your rub is going to stay on the meat. Now, after the rub is on the meat and it's not going to be rubbed off by by a brush, then now you can put on your cooking sauce and let that kind of just soak into the meat as well. So it's kind of an active marinade. So that's the style that I use. Yeah. And so we actually call it liquid love.
Aw.
Yeah.
I love that.
It absolutely. I mean, it soaks into the meat and it just changes the way you think about things when you bite into it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
So it's got
pretty good.
garlic, it's got lemon, it's got apple cider vinegar, it's got a bunch of stuff in it. Honey, can't give you all the rest.
Yeah, I was going to say, you probably can't share too much.
I mean, please don't. And people, like, once again, don't go eat it. I would take your portion just to save you, because that's who I am. I'm a savior. I just go around saving people from eating poisonous food. But yeah, when you brung those in, and
I call it liquid poison.
anytime I'm over there, and I'm just gonna start knocking plates out of people's hands.
Don't eat.
When don't eat that. Don't you dare eat that.
Put that
Put it over here on
That's
my
for me.
plate.
That's for me.
But I noticed that when I was eating it, because usually I always gauge, it's just like a good steak, right? So when you have a good steak, people say that if you have to put A1 sauce on it, it's not a good steak. And you brung in this sriracha barbecue from Trader Joe's, and I was like, why did he waste my time with this? Because it didn't need it. It didn't need it at all. I mean, it was like falling off the bone type good.
I'll be honest, I love hearing that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Really, because sauce is, it's just like putting salt and pepper on the table, right?
Yeah.
You either need it or you don't.
Right.
And if the chef did it right, you don't need that stuff. And so I love a good sauce. I mean, there's nothing like a good sauce, but I really honestly think that a lot of my food doesn't need to be dipped in anything.
And you're right.
Yeah.
It didn't need to be dipped at all.
Yeah. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Like at all. I was sitting there and I was mad because I hadn't had lunch today. So I was upset that it was ending as I was getting to like the last little piece of meat that was hanging on to the fat.
I
was
was
like, wait a minute.
Listen, she's not just playing when she said talking about the poison. She told Paige not to eat her rib.
She did. I said, wait, why? And then I realized what was going on.
I said, no, put that rib down. Leave it there. I will take the poison, bite the bullet for you. Just so you didn't have to do it. Yeah.
I know. Well,
but thank you. Thank you for bringing that in, because I think that when we think about like holidays such as July 4th, we think about like ribs and, chicken.
Putting
anything
something on the barbecue.
grill. Yeah, anything on the grill, we think about putting that on there. So what you did today for us, letting us taste that to kind of just give us a little hint into what you'll be doing and inviting me and Paige over for barbecue on the 4th.
More ribs.
More ribs.
I didn't catch that. I guess I got to start writing an invitation now. Okay.
Pretty much. Pretty much. You know, just to kind of have that. So it definitely lets us know like what staples are there during these holidays. Not just the drinks, because we could talk about the drinks all day, but the food also that pairs with it, because this is what we're talking about. Period, is just the food and the drinks coming together, and having some pork ribs with whatever beverage. For me, it's probably going to be rosé, because it's, you know, that's that cool drink that I like in the summertime. Or if I want to,
mixed.
Something mixed.
Cocktail.
If you want to have a different cocktail or whatever, you can have that. And then also beer. Whoever likes a different type of beer. I teeter more on the light. That's why I said a lager is this. That's almost like drinking spit to me. I can't. That one is a hard one. But I'm hoping that as much as our podcast progress, I would also start to like it. Because somebody's going to bring one in here and I'm going to be like,
I didn't know.
You just got to drink the good stuff.
Exactly.
You got to find the good stuff and drink
so I was drinking trash, obviously.
Well, do you use wood when you smoke it? You don't cheat.
Well, you know what? I know what you're getting at, right? Because the pellet grills, I call them cheaters, right? But that's only because I'm just so old school. And I just, hell, there's a lot of people back in when I was growing up that didn't want to move from cassettes to CDs. I need to grow up. I admit that, right? So, but at the same time, those Traeger grills and the other grills, my buddy uses, Courtney, he uses I think it's a Weber smoke fire grill or something like that. There's a lot of pellet grills out there where you can just set it and forget it, but it just seems too easy for me. Like, it's just like where you can just pour a bunch of pellets in it, season your meat, put it on the grill, and just leave. You can leave the house. You can go away. You can have an app that'll tell you.
That's ridiculous.
You know, is your food almost done? You should start coming back now. It's like,
welcome to the future.
Listen, I cook.
Robots.
I learned I started smoking meats at my dad's house when we turned his barbecue grill into a smoker. It's an offset barbecue grill. We turned it into a smoker. And what we did for the holidays, we only did it for the holidays. We did a whole turkey and a whole brisket. That's 24 hours of cooking, essentially.
Oh, my God. That is dedication.
That is dedication.
And so that's why I'm saying that's old school.
Type.
So if you did all of that, I mean, of course, you're putting all that love into it. But if you put all of that energy into it, how you gonna feel when somebody comes out with some technology that says you could just go to the mall instead? I'm like, I didn't spend all these years for you guys to just like, whatever. So 24 hours of that, you wake up every half hour, an hour, you turn the wood and make sure that everything is burning properly, and then have another drink, go back to sleep, whatever, get back up again. That was how I was raised on smoking meats. So that's kind of where it all comes from for me. But they do use wood. They just use this compressed wood that comes in the pellets. And then you just set it in there, and there's a hopper that kind of just over time just releases them. I would love to do a taste test of what's the difference, because honestly, I believe the stick burner will always give you a difference because it fluctuates in heat.
Well, it just seems like all of a sudden there's like so many more people smoking meats.
And that's
and it wasn't really like that. Like growing up, it was kind of like we just threw something on the grill, but there wasn't all of a sudden like all this other types of grills. Like I remember the first time it was like the egg, like that was the big green egg. Like that was like when it started, like people started like, that was the first time I was like,
ceramic.
Wait, what is that? Like that's not just that's not a regular barbecue, you know? And so then it just seems though, like within the last, I don't know, maybe 10 to 20 years, like the smoking of meat has gotten a lot more popular and just maybe more commercialized or accessible, like, or the technology is that much better. Or
I think it's more approachable. I think it's more the technology, because what Zeke was saying of how he grew up smoking meat, it was 24 hours.
We won't have time for that.
Exactly. So now people are like, I can get smoked meat within a shorter period of time. why would I? Yeah, of course I'm finna start smoking meat.
Any true foodie will understand that slow cooked food is better than fast cooked.
And that's true. That's
You
true.
know?
Think about crock pots.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything
The
that come
reason
out
why
of
you
there
do-
is
yeah,
hidden.
because you taking that time with that food, and there's so much more that comes out of that. The flavors are always better when you cook it slow. And so now you're cooking it slow with smoke, so it's not on the fire. I won't get into the carcinogens and everything that comes with like fire hitting the meat directly and the burns and
charring
all of
and
that.
everything.
Charring.
Yeah.
Exactly. This is that's not my style. I usually do an offset. I don't like fire directly under my meat, period. So I like the slow cooked meats, and they always come out better. It breaks down the fibers in the meats. The flavors are so much better.
I mean, obviously, because it definitely tasted like you put some love in that and took your time.
Yeah.
With that particular meat. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That was awesome. I don't even
I'm glad
want to
you
complain
liked it.
about it.
I mean, because even like I said,
And that's saying a lot. Armando, if you listening to this, sweetheart,
Armando knows.
Listen.
Armando knows how to cook. Armando's a great cook.
you still my favorite chef.
I eat your food anytime, man. I eat your food anytime, man. He kills it.
Oh my god.
But yeah, and then it brought up a good point too of what you said earlier, because this is going to bring up our next point in terms of how you said that when you guys was smoking the meat overnight and every 30 minutes, and then you get up and take a drink. That's very important because it still brings into that aspect of around that community of we're all doing this together. Let's also have a drink while we're doing this and talk about our meats, right? In this process. So thinking about like what's going on for the 4th of July, right? Of how like marketing hits also with drinking. So when I think about it, it's hard to miss those American Budweiser campaigns, right? So like, what's up with that?
Well, I did a little research because I was interested in it too. But back in 2016, Budweiser shifted into this super patriotic mode that we see now, like all over, you walk down the beer aisle and like you said, there's a lot of red, white, and blue. But back in 2016, that year, they dropped a kind of limited edition bottle and can packaging campaign, and they took off the name Budweiser and called it America. So
how come, you know what? I didn't notice it because I don't drink Budweiser. That's why I didn't.
Well,
I didn't
it's
even notice that.
The font is just like the Budweiser font.
Yeah.
And so if you're looking at the can or you're looking at the bottle, like you would see it. But if you're walking by, you're like, oh, it's just a Bud type of thing. And then they even changed some of the packaging, and they included parts of the America the Beautiful on their packaging and their boxes, their Star Spangled Banner, Pledge of Allegiance. They like really leaned into, just who they believe drinks their beer, like who is their buyer. And those people are very excited, are very proud of being American. I mean, you look at the Budweiser commercials with the Clydesdales, like how do you not cry, like tug on those heartstrings, like they're masterminds at marketing. And so they are a perfect example of identity branding. Like this year in 2022, they around Memorial Day, they did their limited release of this branding that they do every year. And instead of the Budweiser name on the packaging this year, it's Freedom.
Oh, wow.
So that'll run through. And they have it run from Memorial Day to Labor Day, which is basically like America's party time.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Like,
it really is. Yeah.
That's a whole 4 months.
Yeah. But they just like capitalized and captured something Americans have been able to do or have been getting together for decades, like in a single product. So it's, pretty remarkable.
Yeah. And you see them at every party.
Yeah.
no matter what
easy.
the culture is, because of that labeling that they have. Because I remember seeing them and I was like, who's drinking those? So like, but the
They're
labeling was there because people need that red, white, and blue at their party in some shape, form, or fashion. So when you think about it, because Smirnoff did the same thing, where they changed theirs to like a red, white, and blue type packaging that they had as well. And it was wild. Like, I don't remember seeing people really drink those drinks the way it was, but they had them there as decoration. So it's just like set up on the counter, or they're in, the cooler in a very specific way.
Yeah.
Just to kind of show you that, hey, we do have some, 4th of July memorabilia here.
Right.
In some shape, form, or fashion. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I think I've seen like craft breweries do that too, where they come out with something that's like a seasonal summer beer or something, and it's red, white, and blue. It may not be as stars and stripes as the Budweiser marketing, but there's just, like you said, like an element of the branding and the packaging that resonates with Americans for a very particular period of time, which, that's when those beers come out, which I think is, really fascinating that they were able to do that and capture it.
Because it's definitely deep rooted into our history when you think about it. Because when I look at the Budweisers, didn't they have like an eagle or something like at the top?
I'm
right?
pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah. So it kind of relates a lot to the Declaration of Independence, of having that like eagle look that they have at the top of the Declaration of Independence, right? So when we think about like the founding fathers and all of these things, so for those of you that didn't know, the Declaration of Freedom from Great Britain and formal vote in favor of independence actually took place on July 2nd of 1776. After voting, the group needed to draft a document explaining the move to the public. It took 2 days. And I want to say that part of those 2 days was because they was drinking. And we'll explain why I think that in a minute. It took 2 days for the Congress to agree on the edits. And so on the 4th of July, the Continental Congress formally adopted the Declaration of Independence and sent it to the printer so it could be distributed to the public. Many members of the Continental Congress started to sign an engrossed version of the Declaration on August the 2nd. Whole month has passed now.
Yeah.
In Philly.
Yep. So that explains why we celebrate all summer.
That explains it deeply. Because it took them a whole month. But when you think about that time, 1776, no one was driving cars, so it wasn't like they could jump in their G-Wagon and drive up there real quick to sign it.
Too fast.
It wasn't, yeah. So a lot of that time they had to go, like give letters, whatever, just to have that time to be able to get up there. And yes, it took a month.
Sure did.
Yeah.
I wish government moved a little faster these days.
That's wild, because now that makes a lot of sense. We have kept the tradition going very slow and just getting one document signed.
Yeah, one at a time.
Yeah, by a couple of people.
Well, I also know that the founding fathers weren't too shy around their alcohol consumption either. All those meetings, even leading up to the revolution, during the revolution, and then the creation of, the Declaration of Independence, those all took place in taverns where beer was consumed and wine was consumed, whiskey was consumed. So definitely weren't shy about that. And
that's where I have all my meetings.
Taverns. Yeah.
That's the way to be. Yeah.
No, I think taverns are great places to have meetings.
That is.
People let down their guard, and then you can have actual conversations, and then you make deals. You make deals.
30 contracts.
Yeah. Negotiations are quicker.
You have to argue about what color your tie is versus what color my tie is.
Right.
Exactly. Wow.
What are you drinking?
Right.
I want one of those too.
Bring them around for the whole table. Yeah.
We're all on the same page today.
And that's all that matters, because that's when we're signing.
That's right.
And it still brings back the community.
Yeah.
Right? It brings back that community of people coming together, even over a drink. Because I remember when people would buy me drinks and they'd be like, I'm buying around for the table. And they don't even ask. what do you want to drink? I remember it was a time like that when
I
they didn't
remember
go,
that
oh,
too.
do you want to, what do you
Yeah.
want? Like, now everybody's like really conscious about like what people drink.
Yeah.
But back then they didn't even ask. They'd be like, I'm buying a round. Get everybody a shot of tequila. And I'm like, I don't even drink tequila. But, you know, at that time, it was like, all right, I guess we do a tequila, you know, to kind of do that. So it brings that community when I think about you doing a meeting in a tavern to be like, the next round is on me. And everybody like, all right, well, fuck it. I guess I'm doing this right now.
This is what it is.
Yeah.
I like this.
Yeah.
Hey, this show is about to bring people together. That's what this show is about. I like this.
Yeah, so that makes a lot of sense because when you think about meetings too on the golf course, what do they have on the golf course? Some type of beverage that's other than water.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So we've been having this tradition for such a long time of bringing together alcohol in some shape, form, or fashion with the way that people are coming together and being able to discuss over the table.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it turns out that alcohol was a means of survival and that people used beer as a source of nourishment and hydration. Think about that. What do your mama tell you right now to do to hydrate? What she tell you to drink?
Water.
Right. They was back there saying, pick that beer, get some of that beer out that pail
I hate to
and
share
drink.
I hate to share it too much, but my dad said this wine got water in it.
That's me. If it's wet, I'm drinking it. Potable water was scarce in the colonial time. So almost all of what was available carried harmful diseases, which we know of like everything that was going on during that time. So yes, they didn't have a filtration system like they do today. So of course, yeah, if you're going to have something to kill it, it's going to be alcohol, right? It was the simplest and safest way of hydration. Someone go and tell my doctor, because I have been preaching this to this man forever. Hey, doc, if you're watching, I need you to know that alcohol has some water in it. So I don't want to hear no more. I might need to cut back. There was a time that beer was used even as wages or down payment for people who worked in the workforce.
Really?
Think about that. Now, and the reason why I know that this is still going, because I helped one of my friends move and they offered me a 6-pack. I don't even drink.
No.
I don't even drink beer. And they was like, yo,
That's hilarious.
I would give you beer and pizza if you come help me move. I was there for the pizza, obviously. But to know
Next time,
that
you should
people are-
ask or at least tell them what your currency is.
that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask what payment is it?
Yeah.
What payment is this? Because I'm looking for Speckle Rocks
Rosé.
Rosé.
Yeah.
Okay? That's what you can
equivalent.
go.
You were gonna get some red, white, and blue Budweiser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They was going to make sure that my fourth was just as fourthy as it's supposed to be. So obviously they were working in an old way in terms of that. And to know that people were paying people in beer is a wild concept because of how we've reduced and the responsibility around like drinking, right? And how we've kind of reduced that. But people are still doing that. I remember when I was in the military, that's how people paid you too. They'd be like, yo, come over for drinks, for helping me out on the test or for helping me out on whatever. You know, we're going out tonight. I'm buying you drinks. Like, I like cash as well.
I guarantee you, Paige has seen it, right?
Yeah.
In your industry, they probably trade beer all the time.
They trade beer all the time. People are like, you know, videographers or something are like, I want money for my work product, not $1,000 of trade in beer.
Right.
But as a manufacturer, they're like, well, I'm doing this already.
Yeah.
I don't have a bunch of capital or cash to hand out. So if we can figure out a deal, like, let's do that.
Or
Like,
even like beer merchandise too.
yeah,
like
merchandise, gift cards, anything but money.
Yeah. Yeah. And think about it too, because when you do think about like merchandise and how like people wear alcohol on their shirts when it used to be like almost like a secret.
That's big.
You didn't want to wear like Crown Royal on your shirt or you didn't even want to carry the bag outside, you know, your home or whatever. And now like more people are starting to wear, you starting to see like all of these different alcoholic beverages being worn.
Just a
billboard.
and the branding and
Yeah, like it's huge now.
Customers
Like
are
you
the
said,
best
cry
way
for the
that
horses.
Yeah.
Put the horse on the shirt. Put the horse on the shirt. You don't think somebody gonna buy that?
Right, exactly. Yeah. So the founders were original foodies, as we know. Not because they had, elevated palates or anything. It wasn't like they were smoking their meat. They were just throwing it on the grill and eating it. Half of it wasn't even cooked all the way. But because they had to be, they had to be foodies during that time because, sources of, think about that's the reason why we call money dough. It's because people was paid in bread in some areas.
Is that right?
Yes.
Oh.
That's the reason why we call money dough. Is because some people was paid in bread.
Okay.
And then now knowing that people also were paid in alcohol, you had a whole meal. You could be paid a whole meal, pretty much.
Cheese too. Is that the same thing? Probably the same thing.
I didn't look that deep into it, but I knew that the bread thing was the reason why. But it could be also for cheese. Yeah. If you think about where cheese is big in what countries.
Bread and cheese.
Yeah.
But also, there's like there's a lot of fishing and, they would eat a lot of fish and instead of other types of meat because that was what it was accessible to where the colonies were established.
Yeah.
And they didn't have the means to transport they didn't have like a robust agricultural industry enough for them to eat anything beyond what was being grown in the town that they were living in.
Exactly. And think about the spoilage of it.
Yeah.
So it was better to pay you in food because this is going to spoil here in a minute because they didn't have refrigeration, like all of that. I mean, think about 1776. They don't have the Sony with the fucking pictures in the front.
No.
They have any of that
Working on your grocery list for you.
Yeah, exactly. Like none of that stuff. So for them, being paid in food was actually really valuable to have that versus being paid in cold hard cash.
Well,
which is only what I want to be paid in now.
Newer country, right? Like they didn't necessarily have like an established currency.
True.
Or they were going to be working on a new one or, that sort of thing. So there's a lot of that taking place.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. And, speaking of traditions, let's go to traditions just a little bit. So I want to know from you guys, what was the traditions that you had around the 4th of July? So what, as a kid, what were your traditions? And then what do you do now? What about you,
Paige? It's the same exact thing as I did as a child.
Really? Nothing's changed.
Paige is
she doesn't want anything to change. We've had this conversation before.
I do want some things to change.
Okay. Right. Get into
4th of July, at my parents' house. And they're close to where the local fireworks go off. So as a kid, we could see them in our front yard. And the neighbors, they live on a cul-de-sac. So the neighbors would all come bring their lawn chairs and stuff. And we would set out on the front lawn so that the whole neighborhood could watch the fireworks together. But during the day, it would be hanging out, going swimming, burgers, hot dogs, ribs, watermelon, like all that, normal kind of stuff. And trees have grown a little bit since I was a child. And so now we watch the fireworks from the backyard because you can't see them from the front yard anymore. But it's still the same exact thing. Everyone comes together. Some of the neighbors still come over to the house to watch them because my parents have a better view than the other houses.
Oh, wow. That's
awesome.
So it really hasn't changed much.
And where's the fireworks coming from their view?
They're coming from Bringle Terrace Park, a local park in Vista.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like maybe a mile and a half from their house, and it's nice. Yeah, it's a pretty clear view. I mean, the trees are starting to get in the way, so I don't know what we're gonna do when they get too tall. But my parents, they just never really wanted to deal with the giant crowd at the park and
I feel them.
All that kind of stuff, and so. They always just did it at our house. I have siblings and all of the neighborhood kids. We would just all play, and now my kids play with their cousins, all and kind of the same sort of thing.
Tradition.
Yeah. So
wow. That's adorable.
Yeah.
That is like hella.
Your parents are dope too.
Yeah, that's like hella adorable. For y'all to kind of keep that tradition going, and then getting the neighbors involved as well.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, that is fun. I know for myself, when it comes to tradition, growing up, because I grew up in Louisiana, so growing up there was a lot of fireworks. So we could do fireworks. Which
they're not illegal.
Yeah, they weren't illegal there. So you can have like fire. I mean, they didn't become illegal probably until I was like maybe sophomore. No, actually a junior in high school.
In Louisiana?
Yep.
It was like 3-4 years ago.
Thank you. Thank you guys. If you didn't understand that, he was calling me young and it worked. But yeah, so with that, I remember that was the first time too that my parents heard me say a cuss word like out loud because a fire, one of the rockets was coming towards me. One of those fire, it's called a rocket. So you put it in a bottle. They call them bottle rockets. Actually.
Yeah.
So you put it in the bottle and it's supposed to like shoot up.
Right.
And then
Did
it like
shoot
does like
way?
this little thing and the bottle fell.
No.
And it came straight towards me and I was like, oh shit.
Oh my
shit.
God.
And my mom looked at me and she was like, I guess we cussing now. And I said, yep, I guess we are. So then that started the cussing career. Other than that, I think for growing up during that time, I remember that kids would get together and we would, like love like shooting off fireworks. And it really taught us a lot about safety too. Like just that safety around like fire and like, things popping and exploding. You knew not to be around those type of things because you saw the danger of just a firework.
Right.
And you learned very young, like fireworks in trees.
Oh gosh.
Because the ones that will go up, think about it, it's the summertime. So everything is kind of drying out a little bit. So the firework go into the tree and your whole neighborhood's on fire.
Oh my God.
In like 3 minutes.
Stressful.
Yeah. Exactly.
stressful.
So because of that stress, it was like that good stress. So because of that stress, you knew as a kid at like the age of like 7, you're already like looking around. You're like, okay, this got to be in the middle of the street. I need this to be like in an open clearing.
Right.
Maybe we should go to the parking lot over there where no trees are around. So you already knew the safety of fireworks at a very, very young age.
Cool.
So fast forwarded to me in my Navy time, the 4th of July meant something way bigger because now I'm serving my country. So I'm serving my country. I am now celebrating with my comrades at this particular time.
Right.
So we're like taking the 4th of July to the extreme.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're like taking it to the extreme. We was wrapping our big cans. You know what? Matter of fact, I think that's probably where Bud Light got it from the military, because they was wrapping their cans with, like America, like things,
really?
marketing stuff. Yeah.
Oh.
Like during that time, like people was already doing that. So now making it to where it's like a big thing, I'm pretty sure that people who are still in the military are now enjoying that they don't have to do that anymore or try to make it to where it's like this big, to do.
Yeah.
And then now, for sure. For sure. And now when I think about like my tradition, it has gone away a little bit because now like life has gotten in the way because I have like so many things going on. Now when the 4th of July comes on, I'm like, where's July 5th so I can get back to work?
Like, is it 9 o'clock yet? I'll watch for 15 minutes and go to bed.
Right. And then I'm starting to feel that nostalgia a little bit of like, I probably need to go somewhere. Yeah, this year and like watch fireworks happen or something. It's definitely dwindled because we don't have that. And I think because for my family, the kids, everybody moved away.
Yeah, you don't have like a central like meeting place.
Yeah, so we can look at fireworks
Yeah.
and we can look at, and get together and I'm bumming off other people. I'm like a adopted kid at this point. I'm like looking around for people like who's cooking? Like I'm sending out like you know what I mean? Like social media ads.
Can I
Hey, who's
come
cooking?
over?
Can I come over? That type of thing. Because I know I'm not gonna do it by myself,
right.
and then it's just me and Armando and the dog don't give a shit about fireworks. He's like actually trying to run away
Scared.
from you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like those different traditions have definitely moved for me in their different ways. What about you, Zeke?
That's super cool. My story's not as good, but you know what? I will say, when I was, I'm a little bit older than you guys.
What?
No.
No. Stop it.
We used to have
We
wood
couldn't
shake.
tell.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Turnabout is fair play. So we had wood shake roofs back when I was young. And so fireworks used to land on roofs, and that's how it would, catch fire. The neighborhood would catch fire. So not just the trees. So yeah, they used to have wood roofs. And I mean, those are, gone now, and there's more architectural shingles and clay tile and all of that stuff. But that was one of the issues. And then there was also idiots who used to shoot guns in the air because they couldn't go out and pay for fireworks. I don't understand.
I forgot to mention that part of it. Yeah, that's a huge tradition in Black families. Yeah.
So, but back in my day, you used to be able to buy fireworks. We used to be able to do fireworks at home. And so that's the change. If you're asking about what's the difference between then and now, I don't even look for fireworks anymore.
Fireworks shows?
It's more like what you're saying. Yeah. Find a spot where you can see where fireworks are being put on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Safely
saying?
put on by the city.
Yeah.
Safely, exactly. And so that's been the past 20 years of my life is just trying to find a good spot to see, what angle you can find good fireworks. My parents have a good spot too. Yeah. And so you can see them from a couple different directions. You can see them at Legoland and you can see them at Bringle Park. But you just kind of just looking around for fireworks. But we don't set them off like we used to. But that was actually a good experience, though, for the kids.
That's it.
Give the kids the sparklers and stuff and just let them walk around.
I'm scared of sparklers, and I'm not
You're
a child.
scared of sparklers?
Yeah.
What?
Because I've never lit off a firework. I've never really held a sparkler. I've never.
There are a lot of people who are scared of fireworks.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. You hear about people setting houses on fire or blowing off their hands or whatever.
Sure.
And I'm
Fingers,
like,
definitely. Yeah.
I don't need anything to do with that.
I totally get it. I mean, I think that some of the best track runners probably used to light fireworks. Because you have to light a firework
How
and
they learn to run?
would turn around and
race this bottle rocket.
Like I wish that we had like cameras back then, like we do
the
now.
Adrenaline.
You could just see people like literally. You hear their sneakers hit the ground, and they'll be like going. You just that's all you hear because they're trying to run away before it like explodes and does this like magic or whatever that it does at that time. And I thought about something too when you said that. How your parents can see like fireworks from like Legoland and, all those type of places. Because I think that also has died down in terms of like how exciting fireworks are for the 4th of July. Because I know for me, I could just go to Anaheim real quick and just anytime at 9:00, Anaheim, Disneyland, ready. Just waiting on the fireworks to happen. So on the 4th of July, it's not as exciting as grabbing your favorite drink, sitting down, and watching the fireworks happen because also SeaWorld.
They're more accessible. Yeah.
SeaWorld, Padres, they got fireworks going off all the time.
Yeah. Just hit a home run.
Yeah, exactly. And now
that's not true.
Fireworks going off. They done wasted all this money. But to think about
shoot off cannons.
Right. To think about going back to the nostalgia and the mystic of fireworks, I think that a lot of places have made it not so mystical to our kids anymore.
Yeah.
To where now they're just like, we're going to see fireworks. I can see that on a Tuesday from Legoland or SeaWorld or Disneyland. Like those type of things that are happening now. So now I think that I've been trying to shy away from looking at them because I want that excitement still to be on the 4th of July, this declaration.
I will say, though, I mean, I know you wrapping up this part of the conversation. And I know for folks out there, be careful out there.
Please.
But enjoy the fireworks and all of that stuff. I think it's a great thing. But the musical displays, you ever see them when they actually do like whole presentations?
Those
are
awesome.
pretty damn awesome.
Yeah.
Those are pretty damn awesome.
Yeah.
If you can get close enough to hear the music and see the whole thing, and then the finales and all that stuff, it's pretty cool. So, I'm not downplaying it at all. I want everybody to enjoy their 4th of July.
Yeah. Awesome. It's definitely, it's that.
But I get the like nostalgia type of thing.
Like I love that I never seen fireworks only on New Year's and the 4th of July. You know what I mean? Like now I can see it at any time. And when I think about their production, Disneyland. I don't even have to go to Disneyland. I could just sit outside and hear. You can hear the music and hear everything that's going on.
Disneyland is one of the best.
Yeah, they have like the best show.
Coast,
they have the best show when it comes to fireworks. So when I think about that and then coming to the 4th of July, it's really refreshing to hear like Paige's family being able to like sit in the backyard. They got their favorite drink, you know, kids with milk, whatever. And and they're enjoying, like you guys are enjoying literally the fireworks show to symbolize what we do during the 4th of July. I wish I would have did a little research on why we do fireworks during the 4th of July too.
I like that.
Because that would have been something, you know, pretty good to talk about. But, you know, celebrations are fun and all. But let's be real before we close out. The most important thing we all need to do is to be safe out there. You do not need alcohol to enjoy a party. I know that we're drinking and we're having a good time. At the same time, you do not need that to enjoy the party. If you are drinking, avoid binge drinking. Please, guys. That is so important because binge drinking is huge amongst the ages of 12. Yes, I said it. 12 to about 25. And it's not doing what you think that it's doing when it comes to binge drinking. And then spread out the consumption of your drinks. So try to consume only 1 drink per hour. For some people, think about also your metabolism. That can probably go a little longer if you're on the lighter side. And if you're on the heavier side, maybe a little shorter. But just know like what your particular thing is. And remember that your metabolism slows down with age.
Yep.
So I don't want to say how old I am, but it's definitely slowed down.
Me too.
Hella hard. To a goddamn creep. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, definitely consider drinking water between each of your drinks to ensure you don't overindulge. Definitely, like, try to hydrate. I mean, I've started doing the 1 drink with alcohol, 1 drink with water, every other, just to make sure. And it totally works.
Yeah,
and
it works.
It doesn't impede the experience of drinking and socializing and doing all that stuff. So make sure you're hydrating. Ensure that there's a designated driver for any sort of gathering you have that is 100% sober and is not just the person who drank the least. So
yes, I love that you said that. Not the person who drank the least, because a lot of people think that like, oh, I'm the DD.
Who can drive?
You're right. Right.
Who's more drunk than me?
Right.
Or not more drunk than me.
Right.
That's not how we should be approaching safe driving.
It should be 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. And there are also so many alternatives to transportation with Uber and Lyft and just waiting it out. Like there's just be careful, you know?
Yeah. And I think another great suggestion too, when it comes to like sober drinking, it was something that I used to do with some friends a couple of years ago, is we would pay the person who was the driver because it was a reward of not drinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you were getting,
That's
if you
nice.
didn't, then we all had to take an Uber and now you just wasted money and now you got to come back and get your car in the morning, you know?
Yeah.
So we pay you to stay sober all night and we'll switch off. So it didn't feel like that one person was doing it like all the time or, you know, we only took the person who never drank.
Yeah.
You know,
Going
like,
out again, you want to go?
Right. Exactly. So that person didn't feel used.
Right.
It was everyone trying to do it.
Taking turns.
And we tried to do it more around people's schedule too. Like if I had something that, let's say I had a big client the next day or something like that and I didn't want to drink, then I'd be like, all right, I'll go out with you guys because I know that if I don't drink tonight, then it keeps me still refreshed for in the morning to be with my client. So yeah, like using that as an alternative as well. So we hope you guys enjoy.
Can I say one thing?
Yes.
I'm so sorry. I just wanted to jump in. I'm sorry.
Okay.
No.
No.
I just wanted to say this one thing though, that in terms of alternatives, that mocktails do exist. Non-alcoholic
Yeah.
drinks do exist.
Yeah.
And there are some great ones
I was gonna
out
say,
there.
there are
You'd
good
be
ones now.
really surprised. You know, the world has changed. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's just asking you just to drink water.
Right.
There are things out there for folks who want to enjoy their time and their experience and still, you know, want to, you know, have fun as well. There are, you know, get good flavors. There are really good alternatives out there.
And I think it goes more towards like peer pressure, right? Because there's a lot of peer pressure around drinking. So when we think about like people who have to stay sober all night, that's a great alternative in terms of like you can still taste it. You know what I mean? Because your time is coming. You're gonna have you around. If you have a good group of friends around you, they're gonna let you enjoy yourself.
Sure.
You know, but at the same time, like having that, don't fall for the peer pressure of somebody be like, you can have one drink. You know, I know you're driving, but you can just take this shot.
Yeah.
You know, whatever.
Yeah.
Don't fall for the peer pressure because you want everyone to be safe.
Yeah.
You know, when it comes to
I
that.
think that's a good conversation for a future episode.
Oh, of course it is.
Peer
Of
pressure.
course. Oh yeah, we got
love
that.
I love that.
We got that in there. We ready.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah,
No,
thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for bringing those nasty ribs. I wanna make sure that I bring in the nastiness, so no one's asking him, but me and Armando, for those delicious ribs that you did. And usually, time I don't trust people who don't taste their own food. It's like making. It's like having a pregnant woman make a drink.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, what is this?
You don't know what you're
Ma'am,
doing.
you don't even know what you're doing. You know, you don't know how strong that is. But at the same time, I trusted it because I've heard that you're a great cook.
I get down.
So I was like, all right, then. Well, let's see what's happening, and it did not disappoint at all. At all, it didn't. So when you think about that new school versus old school type of smoking the meat, keep doing you.
Keep doing me.
You know what? Go to the pellets when you at the point where you can't keep that like
Can't stay up for 24 hours.
Yeah, like you know what I mean? Like you can't keep that momentum up.
Let me just
to do
say
that.
to the folks out there, the novices that are out there that don't know how to smoke meat, fish is like 45 minutes on a stick burner. Chicken's like 2 hours. Not everything is 24 hours. I'm just talking about the brisket. But at the same time, I understand if you go to the pellet, I ain't mad at you.
Yeah. You know, like it's made for the young, hip, and the older
food that you enjoy eating.
That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so when you're drinking and making the meat, what is it that you're drinking? Let the people know.
Usually tequila. It's usually tequila for me.
Come on, California.
Yep. It's usually tequila for me.
Yeah.
But you know, I like a nice red wine and stuff when I'm eating my barbecue. But tequila keeps the party going. That's all. That's all.
All right, you heard it, guys.
If you guys invite me back, I'll talk a little bit more about different tequilas that I drink.
We definitely have an episode on tequilas.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
This is a drinking podcast, okay? All right, so we hope you guys enjoyed listening to our podcast. Stay tuned for new releases of more alcohol and food content. Thank you all to our advanced drinkers. And we're calling all our listeners advanced drinkers. Because we don't want to call you alkies or alcoholics. It just sounds so childish. We want you to know that you are expanding your palate, expanding your knowledge on alcohol and food. So advanced drinkers, for lending us your ear. If you haven't already, go subscribe to the podcast, comment, and rate the episode. Share with your friends who enjoy a good convo over drinks. We want to know, why limit happy to an hour? This is Odd Pairings, and we're signing off.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening and watching Odd Pairings. So please subscribe, like, rate,
And comment with your favorite drinking stories and curiosities about adult beverages. Cheers.
I'm going to happy hour. Keep driving.
I'm going to walk.